In June 2026, Britain recorded its highest ever June temperature, 37.7 degrees Celsius, in Lingwood, Norfolk, more than 2 degrees hotter than any June day since records began. It followed a May heatwave that had already broken a temperature record standing since 1944. Together, these two early-season heatwaves are estimated to have caused more than 2,700 excess deaths across England and Wales, according to a joint analysis by Imperial College London, the Met Office, and the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine. Researchers calculated that roughly 42% of those deaths, more than 1,100 people, died specifically because of the extra heat added by human-caused climate change. Daytime temperatures during those heat waves were running 3 to 4 degrees hotter than they would have been in a world without global warming. This came just 1 year after 2025 was confirmed as the UK's hottest summer on record, and 4 years after the UK broke 40 degrees Celsius for the first time in its history, hitting 40.3 degrees in Lincolnshire in July 2022, a heat wave linked to roughly 3,000 excess deaths in England alone. The trajectory is not random, it is a steady climb. 1976, 2003, 2019, 2022, 2025, 2026. And according to the UK's Independent Climate Change Committee, by 2050, as many as 92% of existing UK homes could be at risk of dangerous overheating. This isn't a future problem. It's already here, and it's built into the walls of the house you're sitting in right now. To understand why British homes struggle so badly in the heat, we first need to understand why they were built the way they were in the first place. And the answer isn't complicated. Nobody was building for this. For nearly 2 centuries, the entire purpose of a British home's design was to solve exactly one problem: keeping the cold and the damp out, because keeping the heat out was never something anyone needed to worry about. A huge share of Britain's housing stock, roughly 1 in 5 homes in England, was built during the Victorian era, largely between the 1840s and 1900s, to house rapidly growing industrial cities. These houses were built from solid brick, with no cavity at all between the inner and outer wall. That solid brick construction was cheap, fast to build at scale, and reasonably good at handling Britain's near-constant rain and damp, since the wall could breathe and let moisture pass through rather than trap it. But solid brick conducts heat quickly in both directions, which is why these homes have always felt cold in winter, and why, as we'll get to, they now overheat badly in summer too. Ceilings in these houses were built tall, often 9 or 10 feet, partly for status, and partly because tall rooms let hot air used for candlelight and coal fires rise up and away from people below. Windows were tall and narrow, positioned to maximize daylight in a country with famously little of it, but with no thought given to solar heat gain, since nobody in 1880s Manchester was worried about too much sun. Chimneys and open fireplaces, meanwhile, created constant natural ventilation, pulling fresh air in through gaps around windows and doors and pushing warm, stale air straight up and out. This wasn't accidental efficiency. It was simply how every home breathed before mechanical ventilation existed. Then came the housing boom of the 1930s, when Britain started building homes with cavity walls for the first time, an inner and outer skin of brick separated by a small air gap. This was a genuine improvement for keeping homes warm, since the air gap slowed heat loss through the wall. But cavity walls were still built with the same core assumption as everything before them. The goal was to keep warmth in, never to keep heat out. After the Second World War, Britain faced a housing crisis and built enormous numbers of homes fast, including high-rise council estates using cheap concrete panel construction, which had poor insulation by any standard, and again was designed entirely around the British assumption that the weather problem was cold, not heat. The real turning point came in the 1990s and 2000s, when rising energy prices and new environmental targets pushed a nationwide retrofit campaign. Cavity wall insulation, loft insulation, double glazing, and draught-proofing around every door and window. These changes were genuinely good for winter heating bills and carbon emissions, but they came with a side effect nobody fully reckoned with. They sealed up exactly the natural ventilation pathways that Victorian and older homes had always relied on to stay cool. A house that used to breathe through gaps around ill-fitting windows and up an open chimney now trapped heat inside almost as effectively as it trapped cold out. Britain spent a century and a half building homes to solve the cold. It never built homes to solve the heat, because until recently, it never had to. The Met Office has confirmed that human-induced climate change has made extreme heat events in the UK roughly 10 times more likely than they would otherwise be. A 40-degree heatwave, once estimated as a once-in-24-year event, now has roughly a 50-50 chance of happening again within just 12 years. And in 2026, the danger wasn't only temperature, it was humidity. During the June 2026 heatwave, dew points climbed to around 22 degrees Celsius compared to single figures during the record 2022 heatwave. That matters enormously because high humidity fundamentally impairs the body's ability to cool itself through sweating, which means even slightly lower temperatures can now feel more dangerous than the 40.3-degree record set in 2022. Every single element of the traditional British house design we just walked through works against this. Solid brick and concrete walls that once felt pleasantly cool in a mild summer now absorb heat all day and slowly release it into the home overnight, meaning bedrooms often stay hottest not during the afternoon peak, but at 2 or 3 in the morning, exactly when people are trying to sleep. Tall Victorian windows built purely to catch daylight now act as greenhouse glass, letting solar heat pour directly into rooms with zero shading. And the very insulation and draught-proofing installed over the last 3 decades to fight winter cold now traps that heat inside with nowhere to go, turning a well-insulated home into, functionally, a very well-insulated oven. The result, according to the Climate Change Committee, is that roughly 20% of UK homes already exceed 26 degrees Celsius in summer today, a figure the committee projects could double by 2050 without serious intervention. So what are people actually doing about it? The most direct response has been a surge in air conditioning, historically almost non-existent in British homes. As recently as a few years ago, somewhere between 3 and 19% of UK homes had any form of air conditioning, compared with around 25% in France, over 40% in Spain, and roughly 9 in 10 homes in the United States. That's now changing fast. The number of UK homes with air conditioning is estimated to have roughly doubled in the space of 3 years, reaching around 4 million homes. For those unable or unwilling to install AC, the advice from architects and energy consultants centres on passive measures instead. External shutters, which can block up to 80% of solar heat gain. Deeper loft insulation, which, counterintuitively, helps keep summer heat out as effectively as it keeps winter heat in. And mechanical ventilation systems with heat recovery, which can cool incoming air by several degrees without running a compressor at all. Some people, particularly renters and those in the least adaptable housing, are simply choosing to move, prioritising well-ventilated, well-shaded homes over other factors when house hunting. Government policy has struggled to keep pace with how fast this problem has escalated. In 2022, England introduced Part O of the Building Regulations, the country's first dedicated overheating standard for new homes, requiring developers to prioritise passive cooling, shading and ventilation before mechanical air conditioning can even be considered. In practice, critics argue it's actively slowing down the adoption of active cooling exactly when it's needed most. London Mayor Sadiq Khan's London Plan explicitly describes air conditioning as not desirable, and Camden Council's local plan goes further, stating outright that it will discourage air conditioning use. Campaign groups like Britain Remade have launched public petitions calling these rules outdated, arguing they were written for a world where summer was 25 degrees. A separate petition on the UK Parliament's official petition site is calling for a full national heat resilience strategy, including legal protections against excessive indoor temperatures in both homes and workplaces. The government's own Climate Change Committee has been blunt, describing extreme heat as the deadliest single climate-related health threat the UK currently faces. In July 2026, the government extended its boiler upgrade scheme to cover air-to-air heat pumps, which provide both winter heating and summer cooling from a single low-carbon system. A full national cooling plan is expected by the end of 2026, following sustained pressure from Parliament's own Environmental Audit Committee, which has publicly called the situation a silent killer requiring urgent government action. Britain built its homes for a climate that no longer exists. The question now isn't whether that housing stock needs to change, it's whether it can change fast enough.